we have some truly huge news, important updates, as Kingdom Come 2 is only just getting started. It's a massive hit, having sold over 3 million copies with superb player engagement across Steam, all the various platforms, still holding strong. And the momentum of this game is going to be picking up with a massive 5-month in development 1.2 patch update that is coming on Thursday, April the 13th, bringing in a huge wave of fixes and optimizations. Warhorse Studio has confirmed that this update has been in development for 5 months, as I mentioned, incorporating over 1,000 bug fixes across every aspect of the game. And what is so funny about this is that they're actually going to give us the patch notes with all these bug fixes. So we're looking at like 30 pages of bug fixes. So good luck to you, SxyBiscuit, going through all that. That's going to be mental. Speaking of SxyBiscuit, he just did a terrific interview with the knight himself, Sir Toby, the studio's PR manager. If you haven't watched it, definitely go check it out. Also, give SxyBiscuit a subscribe, absolute legend within the KCD space. So what we know so far is that there's going to be a ton of performance upgrades. Expect noticeable improvements across PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S, including better frame rates, reduced stuttering, and enhanced optimization for low-end PCs, quest fixes and dialogue improvements. A massive amount of work will be included within this, with a lot of detail paid attention to the quest, interactions, and dialogues, some of which had been game-breaking for some players. A lot of those should be resolved. We also get the free LC, is what Warhorse Studio is calling it. This is going to be the Barber update. The long-awaited Barber feature is coming. This is going to be awesome because it streamlines and combines a ton of mods that are already floating around that allow us to customize and change Henry's look already. Hopefully with this kind of framework in place, it's going to be a really good foundation to then progress the modding community to come up with some really awesome features of customizing Henry. Now, by far, one of the biggest and most important aspects of this huge news and update that is coming next week is the modding support goes live. What is so critical to understand about this time and why the modding community is going to be so much bigger than KCD1 is that Warhorse Studio, at the very beginning of this project, had modding support in mind. In stark comparison, KCD1 mod tools were an afterthought, tricky to use, and not very helpful in the overall modding scene. As we have to understand, KCD1 was not expecting, I don't think, to 1, be so popular, and 2, that there would even be a modding scene potentially. But this time is going to be very, very different. However, it is important to note that the mods probably won't be coming to Xbox. I don't think that is planned, or there is no foreseeable plans for it at the moment, unfortunately. Steam will be the way to go, and Nexus. So the tools should be much more advanced, much more useful. They're going to be Steam Workshop integrated, which is going to make it very accessible and easy for non-modding savvy people, hopefully, to then access and get straight into it. But the main takeaway is, since this has been in mind, the mod tools should be by far more robust and easier to use. But we've already seen some very incredible mods that took many hours, and the passion in the community is huge. Just to give you some stats on the modding scene, we already have 967 mods and 5.3 million downloads for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, putting KCD2 in the top 100 most modded games on Nexus, coming in at number 70 in terms of total downloads. Noting that KCD roughly sits around 31 in terms of total downloads and mods, with 1.4k mods and 19.8 million downloads. I reckon we're easily going to catch up and get in with the top 20 within the next 6 months. I'll be covering so many of the mods, and I really appreciate your support. So if you do get anything out of that, consider liking, subscribing, come along for the journey. Now, unfortunately, for those who are seeking a bit more of a challenge, you're still going to have to rely on mods, as that won't be a part of it is the hardcore mode, the ultimate survival challenge, which is going to be a much more punishing gameplay experience with limited HUD, more realistic survival mechanics, no map markers, and fast travel. A lot of this can already be implemented with mods. You'll also have a much more stricter and more punishing combat mechanics that demand much more careful use of stamina and armor. There'll be no auto-saving as well. So just to clarify, there will be no hardcore mode this release. That is planned for the next big patch. We don't have confirmed dates for that, but when we do have more information, I'll let you know. The other huge aspect that's coming in the future is going to be horse racing. It's going to be a brand new competitive feature. Full-fledged horse racing tournaments will be introduced, allowing players to compete for reward and reputation. There'll be possible horse rental options to give players access to different horses for races. The horse racing update is expected later this year, and that will be after the hardcore mode. I'm really hoping they can introduce, either with mods or by themselves, is combat on horses. It would take a lot of work, but could you imagine if we could have a combat system where you could ride on your horse and engage much better with other people on horses instead of them jumping off and attacking, but attacking you while they're on the horse. That would be phenomenal. So we've also got some long-term support, expansion, and possible DLCs that are planned. Most of these we know about. Multiple expansions are in the works. The first DLC is planned to be relatively small. We know the DLCs are called Brushes with Death. That is most likely coming between April and June, so most likely Q2 2025. Rough overview is we embark on a thrilling quest as Henry aids an artist with a shadowy past, facing perilous encounters and unraveling dangerous schemes. Then we have the Legacy of the Forge that is scheduled for Q3 2025, so July, September roughly. This one is going to focus on the art of blacksmithing, allowing players to rebuild the Gutenberg's forge and enhance Henry's smithing abilities, potentially leading him to become a master blacksmith. That one sounds particularly very cool to me. Then we have the Mysteria Ecclesiae that is going to be Q4 2025, October, December. Henry investigates a deadly illness at the Sedlick Monastery, blending adventure, intrigue, and puzzling reminiscence of the first installment. But we know we're going to be getting some new regions and settlements to explore within these DLCs, extended quest lines, and much more customization and player-driven choices. So that's a quick runway of what we are expecting in the coming future. What was very interesting about the interview between SxyBiscuit and Toby is the future plans for the studio. They're looking to expand and have 300 staff and create a few different games. They want to become a bigger studio. And within that interview, they were talking about Cyberpunk being kind of their inspiration of where they go next. And that is freaking exciting news, because could you imagine if these guys do a Cyberpunk or a futuristic game? I reckon it'd be right up there with Cyberpunk itself in terms of story, the gritty, gory, dark aspects of some high-tech civilization, RPG type deal. But it does highlight that we are expecting new games to come out from the studio, and these will probably be very different in terms of the setting, but at core, carry on what we've seen from K-City 2. They're masters of RPGs, so I look forward to seeing how they can bring that into a more of a unique modern storyline. But that's going to be a very interesting space to watch. We'll try to keep an eye on that as it develops. So Kingdom Comes 2's future is going to be huge, particularly with modding. I am so freaking excited for this and what is going to come with proper mod support. And if the community is getting behind it, it could completely transform the game as we know it with more quest lines, voiced NPCs. Imagine if we could have like some sort of integrated ChatGPT AI that is referencing only stuff from that time. There's so many cool things modders could try do. But what would you like to see in Kingdom Come 2? What sort of mods would you like? What sort of features? Let me know in the comments. But hang tight, because next week we do get the huge update, and I just wanted to give you that information. Most of you probably already know about it, but just in case. And since it's focused on modding, we have been covering those extensively, so the future is looking bright. Thanks very much for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.